Imagine waking up one morning, and the country you went to sleep in no longer exists. The president is gone, the Constitution suspended, and on every radio station, every television screen, a soldier's voice telling you the government has been dissolved. This has happened more times than you might think, and when it does, the world is never quite the same again. Today, we're discussing the political turbulence that has shaped nations across Africa and beyond. The story of military power overthrowing civilian government is not just Nigeria's story, it is the story of the modern world. These are 5 military coups that changed the world. If you've been following this channel, you already know about the coup that tore Nigeria apart in January 1966. We've talked about the blood, the power struggles, the ethnic tensions that would eventually explode into the Biafran War. But today, we're asking a bigger question. What happens when soldiers seize power on the world stage? What ripple effects follow? And who ultimately pays the price? Let's go. Coup number 1, Nigeria, 1966. The night that broke a nation. Key figures: Chukwuma Kaduna Nziogwu, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. January 15th, 1966. Barely 6 years after independence from Britain, Nigeria is young, hopeful, fragile. Then, gunshots in the dark. A group of young military officers, led by Major Chukwuma Kaduna Nziogwu, launches a coordinated strike. Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa is kidnapped and later killed. Regional premiers are assassinated. The fragile experiment of civilian democracy collapses overnight. The plotters called it a revolution against corruption. Their critics called it an ethnic power grab. 6 months later, a counter-coup explodes in retaliation. Ethnic massacres sweep through the north. Igbo civilians flee south in terror. By 1967, Nigeria is at war with itself. That single night in January did not kill millions, but it triggered a chain reaction, coups, reprisals, mass killings that would spiral into the Biafran Civil War. One coup, a nation divided, a civil war that reshaped Africa's post-colonial future. Coup number 2, Egypt, 1952. The revolution that rewired the Middle East. Key figures: Gamal Abdel Nasser, King Farouk. July 23, 1952. Cairo. King Farouk is awakened in the night. By morning, he is on a yacht, sailing into exile. The Free Officers movement has seized control, and rising from their ranks, Gamal Abdel Nasser. Nasser does not just overthrow a king, he challenges an entire geopolitical order. He nationalizes the Suez Canal, a strategic artery long controlled by British and French interests. Britain, France, and Israel respond with military force in 1956, but politically, Egypt emerges strengthened. The United States and the Soviet Union pressure the European powers to withdraw. Nasser becomes a hero across the Arab world. Pan-Arabism, the dream of Arab unity and independence from Western dominance, spreads to Syria, Iraq, Libya, Yemen. The coup in Egypt did not just end a monarchy, it redrew the political imagination of an entire region, and its reverberations still shape Middle Eastern geopolitics today. Coup number 3, Chile, 1973. The day democracy died in Latin America. Key figures: Salvador Allende, Augusto Pinochet. September 11, 1973, Santiago. La Moneda Palace burns. Inside, President Salvador Allende delivers a final radio address.
"History is ours," he says, "and the people make history." Hours later, he is dead. General Augusto Pinochet takes power. The coup unfolds in the thick of Cold War tensions. Years later, declassified documents would reveal extensive U.S. efforts to destabilize Allende's government before the military takeover. What follows is 17 years of dictatorship. Thousands are detained, tortured, disappeared, los desaparecidos. But Chile becomes something else too, an economic experiment. Economists trained in Chicago introduce sweeping free market reforms, privatization, deregulation, shrinking the state. That model spreads globally. The coup in Chile did not just silence democracy, it influenced economic ideology from London to Lagos for decades to come. Coup number 4, Libya, 1969. The colonel who held the world hostage. Key figures: Muammar Gaddafi, King Idris. September 1st, 1969. A 27-year-old army officer overthrows the king while the monarch is abroad. His name, Muammar Gaddafi. For 42 years, he will dominate Libya and disrupt global politics. He nationalizes oil, funds liberation movements across Africa, arms militant groups abroad, is accused of backing international terrorism, including the Lockerbie bombing. He becomes a symbol, to some of defiance against Western power, to others of authoritarian excess and instability. When he falls in 2011, Libya fractures. The coup of 1969 did not just replace a king, it set in motion decades of intervention, proxy conflict, and regional instability that continue to echo today. Coup number 5, Burkina Faso, 2022. The New Wave. Key figures: Ibrahim Traoré, Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. January 24th, 2022. Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba overthrows President Roch Kabore, citing failure to contain a jihadist insurgency. 8 months later, another coup. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, just 34 years old, takes control. Crowds flood the streets, some waving Russian flags. Burkina Faso becomes part of a broader regional shift. Mali, Niger, Guinea. French troops expelled, long-standing military agreements reconsidered, new alliances forming with Russia and China. For many young Africans, Traoré represents resistance to entrenched post-colonial systems. Whether that promise leads to stability or repeats history remains to be seen. This story is still unfolding. Why the world cares. Coups are never isolated events. They destabilize economies, shift alliances, invite foreign intervention. Nigeria's 1966 coup ignited a civil war that reshaped West Africa. Egypt's 1952 revolution rewired Middle Eastern politics. Chile's 1973 takeover influenced global economic ideology. Libya's 1969 coup destabilized regions far beyond its borders. Burkina Faso's 2022 upheaval signals a transformation still in motion. When soldiers seize power, it is never just their country that changes. It is the balance of the world. 5 coups, 5 turning points. Nigeria showed the cost of division. Egypt showed the power of an idea. Chile showed how democracy can collapse under pressure. Libya showed how long consequences can last. Burkina Faso shows us that this story is not over. The question is never just who seized power. The question is always what happened to the people. If this video opened your eyes, like and subscribe. Which of these coups shocked you the most? And And which historical moment should we examine next? I'll see you in the next one.